Hey, good evening, Teach Better family. Brad Hughes, Ray Hewart, and our guest tonight, Zac Bauermaster, joining you for the Sunday weekly warm-up, and an opportunity for us to get together to compare notes on the week ahead. We want to make sure that we are helping you and all of us shift from the Sunday scaries to Sunday security or Sunday serenity. We want to make sure that we have a plan for the week ahead that makes us feel reassured and confident to do our best, to give our best, and to provide today's best each and every day. Looking forward to getting into conversation with Ray and with our guest, Zac Bauermaster. Welcome into the Sunday Weekly Warm-Up. Here's our commercial. Welcome in, everybody. We are streaming live in the private Facebook group dedicated to our Teach Better family. We're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn. Nope. We're not yet. We're not yet. We're going to activate the power of yet. We're going to be streaming on those maybe later. But right now we're streaming exclusively in the Teach Better group, and I'm Brad Hughes. And I'm excited to be with Ray Hewart, CXO of Teach Better Team, and our guest, Zac Bauermaster. Ray and Zac, welcome in. How has your week been? Tell us a little bit about how things are going where you are. Ray?
Yeah, Zac, we definitely want to hear all about you. You're our first guest on the show. But Brad, I feel like you set us up to give some reminders to our crew here that gets together every Sunday now at 8 p.m. Eastern. Guys, we know this is a brand new show, so we want to make sure you understand the flow, you know what to expect, and you set your alarm to be here every single Sunday here in the private Facebook group at 8 p.m. Eastern. Here's the deal. So at 8 p.m. Eastern on Sundays, we stream exclusively in the group. And if you don't know why, then go back one episode and make sure you hear Brad and I talk all about it. In short, it's for these comments that if you're watching, you can see the comments popping up on screen. We want each and every one of you to see each other's comments. So you not only will enjoy our conversation here with Zac today, but also be able to share resources and ideas in the comments for one another, which we really love that community for. And then tomorrow, Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn, as well as make this a bonus episode at Teach Better Talk Podcast. So lots going on here, but we want to make sure you guys are comfortable and know what to expect as we head into the show each week. Zac, we're honored to have you and hear all about your background and your expertise. So do you mind kicking us off?
Yeah, Brad and Ray, great to be here. I appreciate being the first guest on this episode. I need this weekly warm-up this week because tomorrow morning, our teachers return. So we have our district kickoff, but also my kids return to school. So I have a 5th grade daughter who's going to school, a 2nd grade daughter, and then our youngest, he's heading off to kindergarten. So I'm really excited about being here for the weekly warm-up. Just a little bit of background. I have pretty diverse background in education for the fact I started as a 9th grade social studies teacher for 3 years, and then I taught middle school for 5 years. During that time, I went for my admin cert, and then my first assistant principal role was at the high school level, and I was an assistant principal for 3 years, but also in a hybrid role where I was the K-12 online learning administrator. I'm always looking to grow and stretch myself, so during that time where I had all secondary experience, I said, I want to get some of that elementary experience as well. So within the same district, an assistant elementary principal role opened up. So I went there for a year, and then I was blessed last summer to be hired as a building principal. So I'm the proud principal of Kissel Hill Elementary in the Warwick School District, and it's actually a pre-K to 6th grade building. So a wide stretch there with pre-K to 6th grade. But that's a little background on my education and some of my experiences.
I love it, especially because, Brad, I know you're looking at the comments just like I am. People are singing your praises. So excited you're here. And Josh is also mentioning your book we're going to have to dive into. Brad, I hope that you're ready to talk about his book.
I'm absolutely ready. And Zac, we always love to touch on your different roles, both your educational roles, which you have. You've taken us through the steps in your educational journey. Tell us a little bit more about your community and family roles. What fires you up about where you live and who you live with?
Yep. So I am, first and foremost, I'm a believer in leading your family. I never feel right going to Kissel Hill Elementary and leading staff, parents, and a whole community if my family's not at the right spot. So my wife, Carly, she's my high school sweetheart. She's my backbone. She means the world to me. If you read my book, you'll realize my neighbor came over and he said, I learned something I read your book. He's 79. I learned something about you. You'd fall flat on your face if it wasn't for your wife. And I said, you're exactly right, Bob. I would fall flat. And then as I said, we have 3 kids, and I'm just very active in their lives, coaching youth softball, coaching youth sports. And this weekend, something I like to make sure I do is what reinvigorates us in our work, like what keeps us working at our best. And this weekend, I was able to spend some individual time with all of my kids, fishing, softball, and that really charges me up. So family is very important. And my word of the year at school, we all had a word of the year that we picked out. Hanging on my office door is family, because as I said, when I'm leading my family, I can definitely lead my school family more fruitfully and productively.
Hey, Zac, in what ways are you intentional about helping the staff and the faculty and the students that you serve feel like and operate like a family within your school community?
Something I always say is I'm in your corner. And I think it's so important. We talk about these big culture things for schools, but I'm a big believer in those one-on-one conversations, really those personal connections, those individual notes that really, I think, go a long way. We can do those fun activities to start a faculty meeting, but throughout the day-to-day, people truly knowing, like you say, you're in your corner, but showing people that you're in their corner with asking what's going on in their personal lives. How are their kids doing? Understanding if they're going through a difficult situation, and truly walking alongside of them and following up. And I think that's where you can really get that family feel. Also in my newsletters to staff and to families, I'll try to incorporate videos, I'll incorporate storytelling, I'll incorporate pictures, just so they can really get an idea of who I am, who my family is, and get the real me.
I know we're going to get into so much discussion, and I know you have so many actionable steps for our community here to listen to today, learn from today, and engage with back and forth. But I just have to give a shout out, Zac, the fact that you are talking about how you're communicating with families and using different mediums to do so, not just writing a letter on a white sheet of paper in black text, but looking at doing video and photos and everything in between is such a great reminder that every educator is going to benefit from in August, as we are continually trying to juggle 100 things on our to-do list, whether we're in a leadership role or, being all-stars in the classroom, using different mediums to communicate and allow people to hear a message. You hear it differently based on that medium. I think it's so awesome that you kicking us off 6 minutes in already with these small little reminders that will really impact us this week.
Ray, what's coming to mind for you when you hear Zac talk about family? Because I know that we're welcoming our Teach Better family into these spaces, and it's the family connections that make us love and grow the way we do. What's coming to mind for you?
Yeah, it's interesting. As much as, Zac, in your work in a leadership role, you're constantly thinking about how you can bring your personal life into your professional community so they can get to know you as a person. I love that you write about your family so much in your book. And also this reflection of how do I make my school community feel like a family is something that we internally in this community work really hard to achieve. And like I said earlier, between the different mediums in which you communicate, bringing in your personality and personal life a little bit into the conversation always kind of creates those similarities. I think it's something that you have to be patient with, right? It takes time to foster a good family, but I think consistency is a big element of that. I'm sure you found, Zac, that consistency helps with building those relationships.
It certainly does. And I think about, we just had an event at the school last week of popsicles on the playground to help kids just get connected, get families connected. You can't go wrong with popsicles. But I had my 3 kids there with me. And in my August newsletter, I shared about what we did this summer. So families were coming up to my kids and saying, oh, I saw you were at Disney World this summer. And it helps develop that connection and really, like you said, that work family, that family at home, and really bring them together. And I think, like you said, in a leadership role, sometimes it is frustrating. You feel like you just want to reach everyone. I need to talk to them. I need to reach. So using those various platforms to communicate, to reach a bigger audience as well, but then having those side conversations, as I touched on a little bit earlier.
Zach, I think popsicles in the playground is such a cool idea. And when you're all done, you've got all those popsicle sticks to come together, and we can use them for crafts, and you can make all kinds of popsicle structures. And how did that go over, and what was the response to that event?
It went great. And so last year when we had it, it was huge as well. And families are just looking to be connected, especially after the last few years. They want to be connected. Kids want to feel connected. Families, we really want to, our theme this year at Kissel Hill is going to be building bridges. We really want to build bridges within our school, but within the community as well. As we know, there's a lot of trust issues going on, different topics, but having something like popsicles on the playground where the community can come out, they can talk to each other. It's a beautiful night. It's just a great thing to sit back and look and think, this is awesome. This is why we're here.
Brad, just like Zach is sharing, that anytime you give community members or staff members treats, popsicles are a great example. Brad, I always say Principal donuts taste better than any other donuts. You start with food and then you get people talking. You do this all the time, Brad.
And Ray and Zach, what I love about that idea of popsicles in the playground or Principal donuts, it's something that's manageable. It's something that we're coming together around, that school leaders and other educators you can pull it off without a lot of work. And it's that little extra bonus that you can come together and have a sweet treat and have some sweet conversation about the great things going on in your community.
So good. Speaking of sweet conversation, we wish we could give popsicles to all of you in the comments. Thank you for commenting. We love to hear that you're here with us. Something you find funny, maybe you have a question for Zach, throw that in at any point throughout the show. That's why we're streaming in one location. We do want to hear from you. We want you to hear from one another. Brad, should we get into some deep discussion here and really ask Zach those tough questions?
Yeah, Zach is on tiptoes, ready to dive into some conversation about his new book. We would love to dive in right after our commercial, Ray. Everybody into the pool. We're going to dive into some wonderful discussion with Ray Hewart and our special guest, our first guest here on the Sunday weekly warm-up show, streaming exclusively in the Teach Better Facebook group. And you can check us out later this week on other platforms. But right now, we're diving in with author, educator, school leader, family member, and popsicle devotee, Zac Bauermaster. Zach, tell us about your new book and tell us the story of how you became an author.
Yeah, so my book is called Leading with a Humble Heart, a 40-day devotional for leaders. And when I say leaders, that's everyone. And that idea of John Maxwell says leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And whether you're a classroom teacher, whether you're a custodian, a cafeteria worker, a principal, you have influence. You have people coming across you every day and you have influence. So the book is about, it's a leadership book, because leadership is all about people. And a big part of that is, as leaders, we need to prioritize people. But the first person we need to prioritize is ourselves. And the way we prioritize ourselves, I'm a firm believer, is we talk about leading with heart, but we want to make sure our heart is in the right spot to lead. So that's where really that concept came from, to really, for leaders to take that time to be still. For me, it's very important in the morning to get up early while it's still dark. And that's where I spend my time reading the Bible, praying, journaling, and really getting myself in the right spot, getting my heart in the right spot to lead my wife, to lead my kids, to lead Kissel Hill Elementary. So what I did was it just started from journaling. I would journal all these different struggles that were going on, this difficulty. And then I saw it with scripture as well. Like, hey, the same story happened in the Old Testament or the New Testament. And I started to put them together with journal prompts as well. So it's not really a long read. It's not a difficult read, but really it's to get into that daily habit of being still each day and really preparing ourselves as leaders to go out and face those challenges, to really help, uplift, encourage, and love those people that we're leading.
Hey, Zach, Dr. Dave Schmittou in our comments is asking about how you would encourage others who would rather not be seen as a leader. It's just before you jump in, I'm thinking about the process of reflection that you're describing is about centering yourself as a leader. How could someone take that next step if they'd rather not be seen as such?
So I think there are there are different types of leaders. There are the out in front leaders, and then there's the quiet leaders. And I think part of leading people is getting to know people. And when you get to know people, you can empathize with people, you can observe people, and be purposeful in your interaction. So as you get to know people, you have a better idea of some of those people who are, hey, I'm looking to take some steps as a leader. Hey, I like to do this, but I want to stay quieter on this end, but you can continue. I'm a big believer, as I mentioned, in those side conversations where you're making everyone feel valued and you're checking in on them. But I think it really does boil back to just getting to know people. What's their comfort zone? What are their comfort level? Because, some people don't really want to talk too much about their personal life to you, or some people don't want to be in front of the faculty to share this. So really getting to know people and making sure you're still putting them in the right spots to lead in the way that they lead effectively.
Zac, I think that's such a wonderful reflection to Dave's question, because as we all reflect on the type of educator we want to be, right? As we all work every single day to be a little bit better today than we were yesterday and a little bit better tomorrow than we were today, I think it's important to acknowledge that leadership looks different depending on who you are and what you value. And it's okay that you don't necessarily want to be the person that is standing up on stage with the microphone making, some of the most challenging decisions. There are ways to be an incredibly impactful leader in alternative roles. And I think doing some reflection this week, or even just throughout the course of the next year, of our community here, reflecting and saying, what kind of leader do I want to aspire to be? And it doesn't mean you have to be a principal, right? You can go be a leader in a lot of different spaces with all different types of personalities.
Yeah. And I saw Dave's follow-up there. And I think I started to do it in the classroom, where when you take a look and you're like, oh, not everyone's raising their hand, not everyone's outgoing. And what we talked about earlier, there's different platforms. There's so much with technology we can include to bring in everyone's voices, to discussion forums, to chats, and all the technology that we can use in classrooms to really magnify all the voices, not just the outgoing ones in class that raise their hand or always have something to share.
I want to echo Ashley's comment here that every role on a campus is important. Every role adds value to a school community, both the leaders out front and the unsung heroes that are taking care of hard things in the background. Part of our role as leaders and as educators is really to help each other focus on and stay focused on our core purpose, which is educating, supporting, and loving the kids. And so a lot of what we do, Zac, as leaders and educators is shelter other people from those kinds of distractions. If I was to walk around your elementary school with you, Zac, what kind of leadership from within could you point out that's happening in your hallways and classrooms, in your faculty lounges, and in your school office?
There's two words that I'm really taking into this year, and it's student leadership. So as different things come up, how can we put those students in roles to be leaders? And for example, we have a safety patrol where it's the sixth graders and they take the lead in safety. And I remember last year watching a sixth grader walk a first grader out, just saying, how was your day? We have the sixth graders come down and they work with our pre-K program. And so just really having students finding some leadership roles for them to really empower them, because I think ultimately that's what it's all about, is leaders developing leaders. And I think within staff, you see it within different committees. I can think of a couple teachers off the top of my head who are just looking to that PBIS, that school climate, just how can we continue to implement school climate things? And some of those people I'm talking about, they like to just do it on the side. They're like, hey, I got this idea. You don't even need to say my name is behind this. But you have all those people that see things from a different lens that are looking to empower and to really lift up the school.
Ray, what's coming to mind for you as you hear Zac describe leadership from within? Because one of the talents that you have on our team is recognizing where you can lift others up into more positions where they can make an influence and a difference.
No, I love this focus. And Zac, this is why you were the perfect first guest on the show, because we're looking to ensure that on Sundays, we bring our community together and say, all right, friends, how do we make sure you have the most successful week possible? And as we're looking at the week ahead, many of the people in our community will have an endless to-do list. They will have 500 things that they're looking to juggle, and they'll feel like even before getting started, the week isn't going to be successful for them. And I think these reminders, just like this on Sundays, where we can bring in guests that that allow us to have a little bit more of direction, kind of get our feet firmly on the ground before we head into the week is important. Zac, your desire to lead by empowering others to see the strengths that they have within themselves is an incredibly great, incredibly powerful reminder. I hate to use the same word, as we head into a Monday. I mean, because we have the autonomy to make a real impact this week.
Can I follow up and just share, because I appreciate that feedback, because I'm one, it's easy to get caught up into to-do list, task completion. And I always go back, one of my mantras is it's all about people. And I try to always go back to that. So I break down an acronym with it, where with people, you prioritize people. And when you prioritize, you can better empathize with people because you truly know them. And as you know them, then that O is you can observe people and you're like, whoa, they're off today. I need to check in with them. And then you're purposeful in those interactions, because if you want to connect with people, Craig Rochelle says you have to work at it every day. And as you're connecting, then you can really love and you can encourage people as you get to know them. So that's my people acronym that I try to take with me every day and every week, because I do get that feeling sometimes. You finish up a to-do list, you head home, you're like, I missed people today. And then there's other days where you realize you went out and you connected with people and you might not have gotten to do your to-do list. You'll get it done, but you feel a lot better going home.
Well, and I think that's a great reminder too, because I know a lot of people have had those weeks or foresee having those weeks where they're not getting filled up with the part of education a lot of people enjoy, which is the people part, right? Mm-hmm. You're busy making copies, or you're busy sending emails, or you're busy trying to coordinate a schedule that's 2 weeks from now. That is, of course, important, but you have to refuel yourself as well. And I love that for you, you've identified people as a way to ensure you get what you need out of this role, not only for yourselves, but to serve others. And I think a lot of educators are going to have that in common. I know, similar to me, Brad, you are fueled by people.
And it's turning to people, and it's looking for opportunities to connect and to serve and to help, that really help me when I'm struggling with perseverant thinking and intrusive thoughts and feeling bogged down and just sort of feeling like you've got the blinders on. Sometimes I get tunnel vision where I'm trying to focus on so many things that have to get done. I'm worrying about things that I don't even know I have to do yet. And what you're reminding us is it really is all about people. And I think it's people that brought us. Well, it's people that's bringing us to this space tonight. It's people that have brought us and that continue to bring us back again and again to our workplaces, our classrooms, our school offices, our hallways. And it really is about the power of people. And Ray and Zac, I'm thinking too, like, we want to make sure that our guests are sharing with our audience these practical action steps. And Zac, it sounds like that people anagram is an incredible opportunity for people to walk that talk, to put really the people first and see what happens. Can you remind us a little bit about how to get started with that people acronym?
Yeah. And so it's first, it is getting to know them and individually. And I think, so my neighbor is a retired principal. And when I got the job at principal, he's like, my least favorite part of his principal was the summer. And I have that too. And I'm sure during the year, there's those days you desire a summer day, but the people, like, I realize how much I'm energized off people. And so I'm really excited to have people back, but just really going back to, and I call them little moment walks, where when I start to feel bogged down by phone calls, emails, and stressful things, I'll go on walks around the school where I'll be intentional to find things that I could have easily missed. And I use the example, the custodian, one time I saw him escorting a student who was struggling in the hallway, or the support assistant who every day is in there scrubbing the tables. And then not only do you see those moments, but you celebrate them. So that's something I would include in my newsletter. Hey, here's 10 little moments I saw this week. And sometimes I would get those pictures and put them on our school's Twitter page. And then it's really neat because then it builds. Then the one day a support staff member came up and said, hey, I saw these little moments today. And it's something that just starts to spread. And it can be easy to miss those little moments in our day to day, but prioritizing little moment walks, because then you realize that's when someone probably needs you the most too. You might not feel like it, but then that's when someone needs you.
Well, and I think little moment walks is something that everyone knows is a good thing, but you run out of time, or you're worried if you start going on a walk, you're going to lose the whole hour because you're going to get caught somewhere. I wonder if that's a time that you can give yourself permission to say, I'm going to go on a little moment walk. I'm going to set an alarm on my phone for 3 minutes. That way, no matter what I'm doing, I'm going to have a timer in my pocket that's going to give me an out to go back to maybe what I need to go back to. But that's 3 minutes of getting out of your office, 3 minutes of finding those moments. I think that it's a step we could all choose to take this week.
Yeah. And I appreciate hearing you say that about setting the timer. And I know some people are intentional by even putting something in their calendar just to remember, like, hey, you're walking in the hall, you feel that alert. You're like, all right, I need to pause and I need to go do this right now.
Hey, Zac, I know that you're passionate about student leadership. I wonder if there are ways to get that kind of feedback cycle involved with your students, with the kids that you lead. So teachers are empowering kids to be observant, to be mindful of the little things they might have missed. Can you think of ways, or can we think of ways together where those moments that kids are learning to recognize are being shared back into the community?
Yeah, that's what I want to look to build this year, because last year, for example, our staff, we did smile cards. So when staff would see each other, hey, just positive impact on the school. It made people smile. They would submit it in the office, and then we would go ahead and celebrate those. I would read them on a video announcement or the newsletter. But then towards the end of the year, we were starting to look at, staff doing this for students. And then eventually we're looking for students to be able to recognize students. And then even what I also did last year, I would send it out to parents, and parents would share smile cards and the impact that teachers or support staff had. And then we could share those out with teachers. So as you're saying there, Brad, involve everyone as we talk about making it a school family, really celebrating each other.
Zac, I'm wondering how you're in. Oh, go ahead, Ray.
No, I love that idea. I think anytime we can bring in our community or send our knowledge of our school out into our community is a huge highlight. I love that you're doing this, and it's scalable and sustainable. I love this.
Ray and Zac, I was wondering, Zac, how you create a sense of community where it's not about the role or the name on the plate, on the door plate, but it's about the contribution. Are there ways that you're intentional as a school leader, and are there ways that you're intentional to encourage your faculty and staff to level the playing field? As Josh said, it's influence, not title.
Yeah, I think I forget who just wrote the recent book, The 8 Paradoxes of Leadership, but one of them is something along the lines of visibility and invisibility. And sometimes it is, the leader's there and available, but then oftentimes then people might turn and look and just be like, all right, what do we do? What do we need? So knowing when to step away too, because sometimes, maybe there's a grade level that's meeting and the principal walks in, they sort of look like, hey, what's the direction here? But really creating a culture where, hey, if someone walks in, it just remains the same. Sometimes the principal steps away, even in the classroom, teachers, the students, teachers stepping away, empowering the students, giving them the autonomy, and really working on creating that culture, I think is important. And of course, that's something that starts with trust. So making sure you're building that trust with those relationships first and foremost. So whether it's at school-wide or whether it's in the classroom or whether it's in your family, I even think about it with my kids. When do you pull away a little bit? Like, hey, I go fishing with my son. I'm not going to keep putting this worm on for you. Soon you're going to put the worm on. So just finding those little things where you can then step away and really empower them.
Zac, something I really value about our conversation thus far tonight, and something I really know that Brad and I are hoping to continue with our Sunday weekly warm-up every week, is being able to move kind of organically from suggestions that work for administrators to suggestions that work for the classroom to suggestions that just work because we're human beings and people, and we all have families and we all have lives, right? Like there was a joke that, being an educator is a lifestyle. It's not a career choice. And while we are always educators, the reality is that when we do step away, some of these strategies are still helpful in our homes, right? That are filled with many people. So I appreciate that you've been able to lend that perspective. And I'm sure we'll continue to, not only with us, but when hopefully this whole community connects with you outside of today and our conversation here, is because a lot of these elements we really can see in multiple areas. And with this private group, we have over, I think I looked today, we had like 7.2K people in this group. We got a lot of people. So being able to kind of look at education and its vast roles that educators can have and see these actionable steps we all can choose to take this week is really powerful.
Yeah, that's certainly right, Ryan. It's that whole idea of a domino effect, I think. Really in my role, we always say as principals, yes, it's all about the kids, but we need to take care of the entire staff. We need the staff to be healthy. We need the staff to be operating at their best. Then they then take that to the students, and we can take that to the families. So that is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Zac, I'm curious about what kind of stresses, community stresses or political, social stresses, or just the stress of the work that you're helping to soothe and support your faculty and staff through at this time, or what are you anticipating might be on their minds?
I know. So we've gone through and are going through the COVID pandemic, but with it has come library books, the definition of gender, the definition of equality. And I know, and even when people would speak at board meetings, sometimes specific teacher names would come out. And I think teachers are at a spot where at least I've seen that they're a little bit nervous, and principals are a little bit nervous. What can we do? What can't we do? Is this family going to, is this family going to share this at a board meeting? What's going to happen here? And I've seen some of those situations firsthand. And I think that's where it really does go back to, walking alongside that teacher, knowing, hey, I'm supporting you here. We're working through this. And when I think about these difficult situations that we're facing in education, I really think of just the importance of listening to people. I love the term impressive empathy by Michael Fullen from Change Leader in 2011, the ability to understand those who disagree with you. And I think we all need to do a better job of that, really listen to people and really understand the different perspectives. We might not all agree on different things, but ultimately, hey, we're working through it in the best interest of these kids in our care and in school. But I really want teachers to feel supported. I want them to know I love them. As I said, I'm in their corner as they're navigating those situations. So being purposeful, walking through those steps with them.
Yeah, I really want to challenge our community here. I know we've been live with all of you for the past 30 minutes. And, as we slowly get into bringing on new voices, incredible community members that we want you to connect with every single Sunday, this is also a good opportunity to learn and then share your voice, share your perspective, not only in the comments, but maybe to an element of your network that isn't presently with us this evening. And maybe they're missing the Tonight Show and they're going to catch it later. Or maybe they don't even know that the Sunday Weekly Warm-Up is happening. And maybe you can be the one to expose them to an incredible supportive community that can help them get through a successful week. So if you're hearing now anything you've heard from Zac that you think is valuable, we'd love to see you go to your favorite social media and tweet it out, share out a quote maybe that you were able to pick up on tonight, and make sure to obviously tag Zac, because that's going to be a big deal. You can tag Brad and I too. We'd love to be a part of it, but foster this discussion even outside of this private group, because while we love to see all of you commenting and sharing resources in the comments, we do hope that this goes far beyond our conversation today. We'd love to see you continue to interact with these ideas.
Hey, Zac, can you feel or sense a shift at all in your Sunday, whether it's Sunday morning, afternoon, or early evening? Do you ever feel the Sunday scaries? Do you ever feel a sense of trepidation about the coming week? And what is it? How does that come up for you?
Great question, Brad. The other day, I told my wife it was Sunday morning, and like Saturday, you're going through Saturday. Oh, you wake Friday night, Saturday, feeling good. Sunday morning, sort of like, boom, you're right there. Like a little kid, how many sleeps till a school day again? One more sleep. And so I just said to her, I want to try to find a rhythm that works for me and works for our family for those Sunday scaries. Whereas, hey, Saturday, let's say there's this window right before dinner Saturday. I want to maybe go through what are those first things I'm doing Monday, or maybe do a better job with it on Friday to prepare for the week ahead. And really, so I try to intentionally slow down on Sundays. I really do. I want there to be crickets in the inbox. I want that culture in the building where, hey, I don't need the Sunday night email dump. Like, we'll work through this. We'll work through it. But so I think everyone is different. And I don't think what works for one person works for everyone. But for me, I feel those Sunday scaries, and I'm a work in progress, and I'm trying to find that rhythm that works for me. So I'm trying to be intentional in the fall, by the end of the week, Friday or Saturday, really, or early Saturday, being at a good spot to really free up that weekend. And even then, as I head into Monday.
It sounds to me like you're Ray.
No, I was going to say, Brad, I'm sure you're going through the same thing. Is everybody needs to kind of create their weekend plan so that they don't get those Sunday scaries creeping up in the evening on Sunday night and feeling lost, right? You want to be able to feel organized and supported. So I think being able to not only share out whatever all of you are doing with us here, if you're willing to tell us what your weekend's like. Zac, I'm the exact opposite. I want Saturday to be like, no work, no thinking about work. And I'm totally willing to think about work Sunday evening, assuming that I've set myself okay up on Friday. So it's like Friday, I'm doing a little bit of legwork. Saturday, there's no work to be done. And then Sunday, I'll put in some time to like review what my plan was on Friday for a successful Monday. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that sounds great because you don't want to hit. I heard the quote somewhere, if you're doing your to-do list in the morning, you're already too late. So really having that set up where you come in Monday, you know right where you're looking to go. Yes, things might pop up, but I think it sounds like you have a good plan that works for you, Rai.
I mean, Brad, what do you do for all this? I know your weekends are a mix of trying to spend some time with your wonderful family, but then also, I mean, you're juggling 100 different hats as well.
You're right. It is a little bit of a smorgasbord of dipping in and out of work on both Saturday and Sunday, Ray. Like Zac, I think it's really important to protect the time and attention that the people that we serve are trying to give to their communities and families and loved ones. And so I want there to be crickets in the inbox too, as far as the staff that I serve. I want to make sure that I'm like Zac, I'm helping to shift a conversation away from self-care, putting the onus on the people that we serve and love and care for to look after themselves, to what can I do as a school leader and what can we do as a school community to look after each other. And Zac, that sounds like that's where you're at in terms of intention in protecting the time and protecting the ability of your staff and faculty to set reasonable boundaries around their work that protects their ability to be family members, neighbors, friends, caregivers, and protects their ability to be whole people, not simply educators, but whole people in all of their rich and wonderful roles.
Yeah. What tomorrow at our opening faculty meeting, we're going to do an activity where I'm going to ask. They have a little note card. It's going to say, "I'm at my best when," and I want them to write, when you're operating at your best, what is happening in your life, all areas of your life, and I want them to keep that beside them, because I just had to do it for myself this week. You know, starting up a school year. The book recently came out. One of my hobbies is writing, and now I enjoy speaking. I enjoy doing these things, but also that's something else that you're doing. So I realized I started to feel like I'm not at a healthy spot right now. So I almost had to go back to, when I'm at my best, what am I doing? And sometimes it goes back to the basics, making sure you're sleeping, making sure you're eating right and exercising. And a key piece for me is that idea of being where your feet are. So when I'm with my kids or I'm with my wife, hey, I'm right here. I'm not pulled in my phone, and it's a battle. It's a battle. I'm not pulled in my phone or something with work here. But one of the challenges now, home goes with us to work and work comes with us home. And it is a challenge, but finding that rhythm and being where our feet are and understanding when we're at our best is so important.
I know, Brad, that we have another segment we're going to transition into of wanting to ensure that all of our community here has those action steps that they can take for a successful week. I think we have to add that to our list. Everybody should go create their I'm best when list, because I think that more than ever, when I'm stressed, I need reminders of what makes me feel better, because sometimes I forget, so I don't choose to do them. So I get stuck in this space of anxiety and stress. So I think that little reminder, whether it be a Post-it or whatever people choose to use for your activity, Zac, I think is such a beautiful opportunity for us to give our future selves some reminders of what we're aiming for.
Mm-hmm.
I love that idea of preparing our future selves for success, Ray. And we're all on a journey of striving for progress, not perfection. And we can dig into more conversation right after the break. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Streaming live on our Teach Better Facebook group. It's the Sunday weekly warm-up with Ray Hewart, Brad Hughes, and our special guest tonight, Zac Bauermaster. And Zac, we are so grateful that you're here sharing your incredible passion for leadership, family, and community. And as Teach Better family members, we're striving to make sure that our network remembers that Teach Better mindset, a little bit better today, a little bit better tomorrow. And we want to make sure that everyone has permission to strive for their daily best, to strive for progress over perfection. Because as we all know, when we strive for perfection, we have all kinds of stress and pressure from within and without to get things just right. In our experience, there's not just one solution, there's a range of possible solutions to any challenge. So, Zac, as a school leader, but also as a family member and as a writer, how do you keep your focus on small steps towards bigger goals?
Well, something I take with this, I have a big 7 this year, and one of them is pursue excellence, not perfection. And with that, I think comes another one of my favorite quotes. I love quotes. But Craig Rochelle says, small disciplines done consistently lead to big results over time. Too often we want that big result, and then it goes back to the process and what you're working through, because how much we learn when we mess up. Here's the problem though. I can teach and I can talk about growth mindset and that yet sensibility, but I struggle with it myself because I want perfection. When I go do a presentation, I want it to be perfect. Or if I send an email and something comes back like this is missed, I'm like, oh man. And I just sort of beat myself up over it. If you think about it, if you're in an interview and you go home and you're just thinking about everything you said or you shouldn't have said, and the mind can be a crazy thing. So I think it is just so important to be in the process. And I know I have a background in athletics, growing up playing baseball and basketball, and I really think of the progress there. And those you're currently working towards, you're practicing all week. You have a game, you go back, you watch the game film. Hey, we made mistakes here. This went really well here. Let's adjust this. And then you go into the next week and you're continually growing. And I think too often we try to reach a final destination here with certain things, and you just don't get there. So it's all progress. It's all taking those next steps.
This has been such a valuable conversation, Zac. I think there's so many important elements that I know our community is going to be able to take away from our dialogue. And we definitely gave them a lot of action steps that they could consider truly using as early as Monday morning as we walk into our week. Any final words of encouragement, words of wisdom that you'd love our community to consider as they kind of wrap up their Sunday, they feel good about their to-do list, and they're ready to take on a successful week with students?
Yeah, I'll start by saying, no matter how you feel right now, if you have the Sunday scaries, ultimately it's going to be okay. And I always remind myself of that. You go into the day and the day's going boom, boom, boom. But before you know it, the day ends and you go home and there's the evening. You're like, you know what? It's okay. And then sometimes you reload again. So I always just say like, hey, it's going to be okay. That word steadfast, dutifully firm and unwavering. So being unwavering. But I really think, like, as I think about, I talked a little bit about the Big 7. I think we need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of each other. That idea of community, lifting each other up, encouraging each other. And I always go back to, we need to love kids, because tomorrow morning, or if your school starts, families are sending us their very best. And I know I'm sending my son off to kindergarten. I remember when my oldest went to kindergarten, I saw her walk on the bus and look back and sort of like, there she goes. And just the care that the families entrust with us. So really remembering that people are sending us their very best and we want to give them our very best, and really going out there then and controlling the controllables, what we can control, pursuing excellence, not perfection, keeping an eye out for those little moments, and then remembering to have fun, enjoying the work that we get to do. So sometimes we take it too seriously, but we need to slow down, have fun, laugh, and enjoy it with each other.
So good. Brad, I know we have some team reminders here for our community, but before we get into all of that, because I know it's probably already on their minds of what's going on this week internally for the team, but Brad, I was thinking we could have Zac share how our community here could stay connected to him. That
Absolutely.
way this conversation can go beyond this dialogue. You know what I mean?
No,
Absolutely.
That's great. I would love to connect. So I am on, my main platform is really Twitter @ZBauermaster, also on Instagram @ZBauermaster. and then on Facebook, and then also ZacBauermaster.com. So I would certainly love to connect with you there.
So important that on our Sunday weekly warm up, we not only take hold of this great advice and we challenge ourselves to maybe choose one action step and put it in place this week, but also that we connect with the guests that are a part of our show. We should constantly be striving to grow our personal and professional networks. And Zac, I really appreciate that you're somebody that now all of our team members and community members here can say, yep, he's a part of the family. He's in it for life. We got to go connect with him and continue to have this dialogue. Brad, I know we have some good reminders here for our community. Anything come to mind that we want to make sure our Teach Better community knows before we head out?
Want to make sure that we recognize and celebrate the great ideas and the great approaches to educating and to keeping ourselves healthy, happy, and motivated that exist, connecting with great guests like Zac and existing within our Teach Better community as well. We also want to make sure that people are aware of and are accessing coursework on our Teach Better Academy. I think of Livia Chan's latest course in terms of making sure that you are celebrating and sharing the gifts of kindness, gratitude, and making sure that you are filling your own heart, as Zac was telling us earlier, filling your own heart and developing that sense of self, that steadfastness that Zac was talking about. Is a continual process. And yeah, there are going to be setbacks, but all of us can learn to live through them and learn from those setbacks as well. Just been a fantastic conversation tonight. And Ray, what's coming to mind for you?
You know, there's so many things going on with the team. So if you guys are looking to connect with events going on all week long, head to teachbetter.com. The biggest thing is that we will, of course, be live again tomorrow night, re-streaming this recording of Zac's incredible insight to the community over on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. So if you see it, feel free to share it so that your network, your family and friends can learn with Zac and connect with him in the future. And also, if you guys haven't subscribed to Teach Better Talk podcast, that's a great spot to not only subscribe so you don't miss any of this conversation, but also leave a review if there's any major takeaways you want to celebrate of Zac's great insight he's been able to share. That's a good spot to share it. We really appreciate all of you tuning in on this Sunday. We will see you again next week, or you can join us live Wednesday morning for our Wednesday wake up show. And I just really appreciate, Zac, you taking the time to hang out with us right before you head back to school tomorrow.
Ray and Brad, thank you so much. I feel warmed up for the week. I'm ready to go.
I love it. All warmed up. We'll see you guys later. Have a wonderful night.